We have this small house here. This is the Swazi clinic, the Swazi hospital, the Sangoma's house. The guy with the red hair during the show. Yes, that's the traditional healer. So if one of the sons is the medicine man, this is where you come for consultation. Even if you want to predict your future, you can come to predict the future because he will throw the animal bones, interpret them, and predict the future for you. So all the plants that you see in front of the house, these are some of the plants that they use to make medicine. For example, we have the mountain aloe vera. When we Swazis, we have a stomach ache problem, can pick a leaf, chop it, mix it with water, and then you drink, and you'll be healed. Even if you burnt by fire or hot water, pick a leaf, squeeze the aloe juice, and then you apply it straight to the wound. This one, we call it the elephant's ear. If you have a problem of the ear, pick a leaf, put it next to fire. When you see water is coming out of the leaf, then you can remove it. Wait for the leaf to cool off. Once it has cooled off, then you can take it and squeeze it at the ear, and definitely you will be healed. And then down there, ladies and gentlemen, we have that house that is surrounded with the sticks. That is where all the boys in the home sleep. So even the boys, like the girls, when they are 6 years old, they stop to sleep with the parents. They all go to sleep there until they grow and marry their wives. But in our Swazi culture, you can be 40 years old. If you are not married, they still call you a boy. And you continue sleeping there with the young boys until you marry a wife. The outside part that is made with the sticks around the house of the boys, in Siswati we call it sihon. Sihon. You can try.
Sihon.
Yes.
Sihon.
Sihon. Which means that is where the boys start to practice how to help their father in building the cow's place and the fence around the home. So the boys' house, it's always surrounded with the sticks. But the girls, it's usually reed or bamboo because they help the mothers to build the windbreaks.
How many boys and girls are usually lived in such place?
8 boys can sleep there because we don't have any furniture. It's only sleeping beds. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you remember that this is a home for 1 man and 2 wives. So we always keep the oldest and the youngest sons in the home. That house down there, it's the house for the oldest son from the first wife. And then we have that one up there, next to the girls. That's the house for the youngest son from the last wife. The 2 boys, they are the most important boys in the home. If the father dies, these 2 boys will continue to look after the family. Because the oldest son is the one who takes the father's property. The youngest son takes the mother's property. So it means even if these 2 boys are old and they want to marry their wives, they do marry them, but they are not allowed to move out of the home to have their own homes. They have to stay in the father's home with their wives. They're also from Portugal.
They do. I don't know them. I don't know the language. They are.
They can only use these 2 houses when they marry. If they're still young boys, they sleep where all the boys in the home sleep. Even if these 2 boys have children with their wives, if it's boys, they'll continue to sleep where the father used to sleep. And then the same applies with the girls.
Eu tenho um filho, continuo a terminar ali. Depois dos meus rapazes.
But, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to choosing the king at the royal family, it's totally different, like in a normal home, like this one. So that's why the king currently has 16 wives. Because for you to be the king, you need to be the only child from your mother. No blood brother, no blood sister from your mother. And then you also have to be the youngest son from all the other sons, from the other wives. Because you cannot become the king if the other king or if your father is still alive. You can only become the king if the other king has passed away. So this means even the king today, he does not have an idea where the next king will come from. That's why he has a lot of wives. His father, the late King Sobhuza II, he was having 75 wives, 250 children. That's why in Nkosi...
It's good to be the king.
I doubt.
So do I.
So that's why in Nkosi or Dlamini, which is the surname of the king, it's the most common surname in Swaziland. The difference is that the current king, he does not choose a wife each and every year like his father did. He can choose a wife after 5-7 years. That's why he has 16 wives. But if you look at the age, he was turning 49 years old last month. So if he was choosing every year, he's supposed to be having 30 or 31 wives. But his father used to choose each and every year. That's why he was having 75 wives, 250 children. So the possibility is that the king is always born by the last wife or the second from the last. Then the mother of the king becomes the queen mother. They rule together with the king. But if the king is still young, the mother rules until the king is 18 years old and above. Yes, even the king that we have now, his father died in 1982. He was 14 years old. He was in England attending school. The mother had to rule from 1982 up until 1986 when he was 18 years old. So ladies and gentlemen, let's visit the men's place. So ladies and gentlemen, you see this place where they're making fire? Yeah, you can feel free to have a look. So this is a place for men and boys only. Women are not allowed to go in here. They come if they're bringing food. But, sorry, sir. But they kneel down by the entrance, and then the youngest boy will stand up to come and take and put inside. Even in the past, when there were no schools in Swaziland, this is where the father would sit with the boys and teach them how to be a grown-up man. So you can see they are making fire. It means sometimes we do some of the cooking. In our culture, we have special food that is not cooked in the kitchens and eaten by the women. It's only cooked here and eaten by men and boys. I can say, for example, when they slaughter a cow in the home, the head and the feet of the cow are only cooked here and eaten by men and boys. Then the rest of the meat, they can cook in the kitchens, and then everyone in the home can eat. Because we believe that if a woman eats the brains, she becomes intelligent. She will be service.
And if he eats the legs, he can run?
Once she eats the tongue, she become too much talkative, she won't respect the man. Because if she eats the feet, she'll run away from the man. So that's why in our culture, if you're a man, you don't dare buy shoes for your wife or girlfriend. Because if you buy the shoes for her, she'll run away. She has to buy the shoes herself. And then you have this other crowd here. This is where the chief. So yes, this one. So before he goes to hunt, he comes to hide and smoke. While he was still smoking, he will know that day which direction. Once you're being found with marijuana, they just take you to jail. But as you know, all over the world, people are different, some are difficult. They say rules are meant to be broken. They do grow it in the forest or mountains and then sell it in the black market. If maybe Swaziland was the Netherlands, you could say it's a coffee shop in Amsterdam. And the rumor is that Swaziland grows one of the finest marijuana. They say most of the clients, it's our neighboring countries. So let's see the place for the first one.
They've got weed called Swazi.
Gentlemen, this is the place for the first wife. She owns this place. Each wife is given 3 houses. This is the kitchen for the first wife to cook. And then where we are standing, this is an outside kitchen the first wife uses if it's not raining or windy. This one, it's the bedroom where she sleeps. And then that one up there where they're making fire, it's the beer house where the first wife prepares traditional beer on special occasions. Our traditional beer, it's made of maize and sorghum grain. We call it umqombothi. Umqombothi. Then inside the houses, they make fire, as you can see. When they're making the fire, the smoke can come out of the grass, but there is no chimney or hole. Yet, if it's raining, water cannot go inside. But if you are inside and they are making the fire, for you not to inhale the smoke, sit down, don't stand. The smoke goes at the top of the house, and it also helps to chase away the insects which eat the frame and the grass of the house. 8 men can take 5 weeks to build the frame or the structure of the house, depending on the size. And then 8 women can take 3 weeks to put the grass outside. But after 3 years, we change the old grass and put new one. The frame or the structure of the house, it's made of branches of trees while they are young and wet, so that you can easily bend them. It can last for 10 to 15 years. These houses are also mobile houses. You can take them to Portugal with you. But before you take the house, you first have to take off the grass outside, and then you dig a little bit around the frame. Ask a group of men to help you pick up the frame and put it somewhere else. In the past, the Swazis, they used to live like nomads, the bushmen. They move from one place to another looking for food and good farming land. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll visit the grandmother's place. The grandmother, it's the mother-in-law to the wives. That's the mother of the chief of the home. And the grandmother's word is final because we respect the old people. In our culture, we say they're intelligent than us young ones. You come this way. You can get close. They won't run away from you. They're only afraid of me. there was a fire at night and the grandmother's house is burnt down. No one knows how the fire started up until today. But fortunately, we started to rebuild the house. So here, the house that they are rebuilding, it's the grandmother's kitchen. And then that one on just behind the kitchen, that's the grandmother's beer house. And then if you notice, on the ground over there, there was another house. It was the grandmother's bedroom, the biggest and the most important house in the home. It's where we have family discussions. And it's where we normally take a group of visitors to see how the houses look like inside. The two wives, they cook for the grandmother in their own kitchen. Because the grandmother's kitchen, it's only used by the girls of the home. So if you notice, the grandmother and the grandfather are in the center of the home, between the first wife that side and the second one that side. So ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed this way so that you can see inside one of the houses. But today, we use it as a Swazi necklace because it has the colors of a Swazi flag.
Hello. The price starts from 10 rands. The bracelets and the rings, 20 rands from here. To the key holders, 30 rands, 50. These two are 80 rands. From the mask to the small drums, it's 50 rand, 70 the cups, 80 rand the big mask, up to the end.
Okay, ladies, it's safe. You can come in. Ladies on the left.
Come.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how the houses look like inside, and they are naturally air conditioned. If it's hot outside, inside it's cool and nice. If it's cold outside, inside it's warm. Feel free to take pictures inside the house. So if there are family meetings in the home, we have them in the grandmother's bedroom, the biggest and the most important house. During a family meeting in the grandmother's house, women sit on the left, men sit on the right. The main reason we say men right, women left, it's because the men are always right. No, I'm just joking, ladies. They say men right, women left. If the man goes to visit one of the wives in her house, they don't sleep together. The wife sleeps on the left side with the children who are not 6 years old. Then the man sleeps on the right. Once the children are sleeping, then the man can take a stick to poke the wife and say, "Madam, madam, now you can jump on the right side." Even if the two wives, they don't see eye to eye, they are fighting or they are shouting at each other, they call them in the grandmother's house to talk to them. If one of the girls outside is hitting a child, once the child runs and goes inside the grandmother's house, you stop to hit the child. So that's why we say the grandmother's house. It's a house of peace, safety, and reconciliation. I know that maybe some of you, they're wondering, or they want to ask that I'm talking about the grandmother. Where is the grandfather? In our culture, we always use the grandmother as an example, not the grandfather, because girls, they marry earlier than men. So in most cases, you find that the man dies first because of the age difference. For light at night, they used candles made of animal fat. or they keep the fire burning in the center of the house. But when they are making the floor inside the house, they use termite heap soil. The termite soil, it's Swazi cement. Crush it until it's soft. Mix it with water, and then they make the floor. After that, young girls, they go to the cow's kraal to pick the cow dung or cow poo, mix it with water, then they polish the floor so that it's not dust. This is the door to close at night. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I think you did notice that the medicine man's house, it has a shorter door. So these are the new houses to accommodate visitors. So culturally, the houses are supposed to be having short doors like the medicine man's house. Because we Swazis, we are good in fighting with a nopgiri. A nopgiri is that stick with a big head, like a golf club. If you attack inside the house, they just stand by the door and hold the nopgiri. Since the doors are short, automatically when you come in, you have to kneel and bend, and then it's head first. It also shows respect to the people who are inside. When you come in, you will kneel and bow for them. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we will visit the place for the second wife, which is the last part of the tour. The same principle applies. When you are going outside the house, it's not ladies first, it's men first. For the safety of the lady, if an enemy is outside, then the man can easily. The monkeys are all over. So where we are, it's the second wife's place. She also has 3 houses. That's the bedroom where she sleeps. Outside kitchen, if it's not raining or windy, that's the kitchen. And then behind me, it's the beer house. But all the houses in the home, they look the same. How can you tell if it's a kitchen, a bedroom, or a beer hut? We use the horizontal lines on the windbreaks to differentiate the houses. If it's a bedroom to sleep, there are 4 horizontal lines on the windbreak that is in front of the door of the house. In a kitchen to cook, there are 3 horizontal lines on the windbreak that is in front of the door of the house and the outside kitchen. But if it's a beer house, there will be no windbreak in front of the door of the house. And then you know that it was an open bar. You can just go in and help yourself. Then, ladies and gentlemen, next to the second wife, we have that house over there. It's the house that we just came out from. That's the bedroom for the chief, the father of the home. If he wants to be alone, he does not want to visit the first or the second wife. That's where he goes to relax. For the wives to visit the men in that house, it has to be on special invitations. They don't just pop in. Because if the man wants to marry a third wife, that's where the new girlfriend comes to stay for the night. Then the man can call the first wife to go and prepare the bed for the girlfriend. When she goes to prepare the bed, that is when he will introduce the girlfriend to the first wife. He can also call the second wife to bring the food for the girlfriend. When she goes to bring the food, that is when he introduces the girlfriend to the second wife. Because even if the 2 wives, they don't like the new lady, there was nothing that they could do, because women had to be submissive to the man. Then if you notice, the bedroom of the chief, it's next to the last wife or the second one, far away from the first wife. Because in our culture we say the husband has to spend most of the time with the second wife, because she's still new in the home and she's still younger than the first wife. If he marries another wife, that bedroom moves to the place for the new wife. But the first wife is always in a good position. If the grandmother dies, she acts as grandmother of the home. Then, ladies and gentlemen, maybe before we finish our tour, just to share with you a little bit of history. We have that mountain up there, but because of the tree, maybe we can come this side so that we can have a clear view. The name of that mountain, we call it Nyonyane Mountain. Nyonyane. Yes, Nyonyane means a small bird or a little bird. Before we got independence in Swaziland, it used to be our execution rock. If you've killed someone or you're practicing witchcraft or black magic, they take you to sit for a trial. If you are guilty, a group of warriors will take you to the top. Once they're at the top, then you are forced to jump down using spears. Especially on the other side of the mountain, because that side, the cliff is very steep compared to the side that you can see. And your family was not allowed to take your body and bring it in the home, because they believe it will bring bad luck to the rest of the family. But the good thing is that today, ladies and gentlemen, in Swaziland, we have a good justice system. We don't have the death sentence anymore. Now we have prisons. The last execution took place in 1902, even though Swaziland got independence in 1968. So, ladies and gentlemen, any questions?
Because of warriors took the person there and make jump. So the walk to be a warrior or something like this, you have to be a grown man with a wife, or
No, you no need. If you're a warrior,
just strong enough to
yes,
carry with them.
and know how to fight. Any more questions? Then maybe for those of you who have not been to the waterfalls, it's 1 kilometer from here. You can walk or drive if you want to. If you're driving, drive like you're going back. And then when you're over there, the cactus trees, you can make a left turn, drive upward. Which means you're welcome.
Which means that I don't understand.
But sometimes, if they don't shout back, they send a young boy or a young girl to come pick you by the gate and take you to the parents. Because men enter the home and walk next to the cow's place that is made with the sticks. And then that side, you can find the place for the men. Women enter the home and walk next to the windbreaks that are made of reed or bamboo in front of the houses. And then that side, you will also find the place for the women. During the day, we don't sit or eat together with the women. We sit separately, because there'll always be a man's talk that side and a woman's talk inside the kitchen. Then, in building this home, there is no metal that has been used. All it's natural, it's wood and grass or animal skins, except for the emergency fire pipes in case the village is on fire. So, ladies and gentlemen, this home that you see, this is a home for one family. It's a home for one man and 2 wives.
Like the single home or all area?
All the area, yes. In our culture, if you're a man, you can marry as many wives as you want. Only if you marry the wives using the Swazi culture, not the Western type of marriage or the white wedding in the churches. And then it also depends how rich you are, because you have to pay for the wife. Yes, you have to pay to the wife's family. So a man has to pay 17 cows. Yes. If the lady she's getting married to is a virgin. But if she's not a virgin, we negotiate. The price
1
goes
cow,
down.
it's enough.
Maybe. Then in the past, once you marry the Swazi way, there was no divorce. But if you see that your wife is cheating, or maybe she's practicing witchcraft or black magic in the home, you were free to ask your neighbor, and then the two of you take the wife back to her parents.
Good idea. Excellent idea.
And then, so you could take the wife back to her parents, and then you could negotiate some of your cows back if you have good proof. If you don't have the cows, today you pay for your wife using money. But it's the wife's family which tells you how much for each cow. So now in Swaziland, a cow can cost 7,000 rands to 9,000 rands each, because our currency, it's equivalent to the rand. But if maybe it's euros, maybe one cow can cost 600 to 700 euros. And then you can multiply that by 17. So it's expensive. But let's say you want to marry the princess, the king's daughter. Then you have to pay 100 cows. And when you're marrying the princess, they don't need money. They want the real cows. So a commoner can never get married to a princess. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we have this small house that is next to the gate. That is where all the girls in the home sleep, either from the first or the second wife. Once they are 6 years old, they stop to sleep with the parents. For the privacy of the parents, they all go to sleep there until they grow and go to get married. But in the past,
What age?
okay, back then girls, they could marry at the age of 15, 16. But today, girls marry from the age of 18 upwards. And then men, it's usually 30 to 35. Because if you're a man, you first have to work, save, and then you have enough cash to pay for your wife. Then in the past, there were no schools. So how did the parents know that the child is 6 years old or not? Because they were not educated themselves. They would normally ask the child to touch the ear like this. Because we believe that if you are 6 years old, the hand is long enough to touch the ear. If you are not 6 years old, it cannot touch the ear, and then they say that you have to sleep with the parents. Poles around the house of the ladies. So we are renovating the home. That's why you can see some of the guys are busy. Yes, so usually the house of the ladies is surrounded by a windbreak that is made of reed or bamboo, like those windbreaks. So the house of the ladies is always surrounded by a windbreak because girls, when they wake up in the morning, they help their mothers to build and fix all the windbreaks around the home that are made of reed or the small bamboo. And they use reed or the bamboo because each and every year in Swaziland, at the end of August, we have that ceremony. We call it the reed dance, Umhlanga. It's where they call all young girls around Swaziland to go to cut the reed or the bamboo for the mother of the king. During this reed dance ceremony, it's whereby even the Swazi king can choose any of the girls to become the next wife. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll count to 3, and then we will all shout together and say, Ekaya, so that we get the permission to enter the home. Let's try to shout a bit louder so that we don't have to shout again. So are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
It's welcome.
Yebo nine bekunene sanemukela, which means they're welcome. Then, ladies and gentlemen, in the home, it's the most important place in the home. Because we Swazis, we believe in ancestors or forefathers. Because we say they are closer to God. So in a Swazi home, the forefather spirits, they stay within the cow's crop. That is why even the first step of a Swazi marriage, it starts inside the cow's crop. While she's still your girlfriend, they take her, put her inside the cow's crop, and they tell her all the rules of the home. I can say, for example, in our culture, if a woman is bringing food to the man, before she puts the food, she has to kneel down as a sign of respect. Because in our culture, women must always be submissive to the men. But today, it's equal rights. And then, every home has its own burial place or gravesite. So we always bury the dead a little bit outside the home. But before we go out to bury someone, they first put the body next to the cow's crop. And then you can find the chief of the home standing next to the crop, communicating with the forefathers. And then they can proceed with the funeral. So that's why in our culture we say the beauty of a man is his cows. Because cows are considered to be a symbol of wealth. If a home does not have cows, it means that home is poor. If the home has cows, then it's a rich or a standard home. Because we use the cows to pay for the wife, we milk them, and we get beef. We also use them for plowing or farming the ox. And we even use the cow dung or cow poo as manure or fertilizer during the farming. Or even polish in the houses. Then they make traditional clothes with the skin and other domestic things. Like the drums that they were using, they're also made of a cow skin. So that's why in our local language, Siswati, we call this place Lipange le Maswati, which means this is a Swazi bank.
Vou começar a gostar da cultura suave. Nós as misturas, as mulheres submissas, antes falamos dos homens ajoelham. Ok, vamos a começar.
Yeah, you can try and stand in the shade.
Yeah.
Podem ficar só.